thank you for taking an interest in this chapter entitled Do You Have to Walk It to Talk It? The Significance of an Elite Athletic Career in Becoming a High Performance Coach in Men's Football and Rugby Union. My name is Alex Blackett and I'm the author of this chapter. I'm a Senior Lecturer of Sports Coaching at Staffordshire University in the UK, where I'm also the leader of the Staffordshire Unified Sports Research Alliance, or SUSRA for short. What we do at SUSRA is we problematise and research a range of cultural assumptions and myths attached to sport. That's why it's my absolute pleasure in contributing to this book. My own research agenda focuses on the myths of needing to be a former elite athlete to be a successful high performance coach. In this chapter, what you'll find is a summary and an overview of the work emanating from my PhD in wanting to understand this process and indeed the fast tracking process of how elite athletes are catapulted into elite level coaching positions upon retiring from play. So I only scratched the surface of this topic really, but what you'll get an overview is some of the research emanating from my PhD, as I say, but I've also interwoven it with the arguments presented by other researchers, as well as some of my own reflections of working with university students who have tried to access privileged coaching positions and encountered lots of barriers or glass ceilings because they themselves haven't had any experience as an elite level athlete. At the start of this chapter I offer some examples, both within men's sports and women's sports, of how elite level athletes have gone into elite level coaching roles and how the actual transition of fast tracking them might go against the aspirations of coaching becoming a fully recognised profession. I counterbalance this with some comparisons between other professions such as medicine, law and education, and kind of try and problematise and debunk the myth a little bit. So what I offer in my chapter is an outline of a number of studies that are part of my PhD. I draw on data that I collected after interviewing elite club directors and academy directors in rugby union football about why they actually appointed former elite athletes as coaches, even when those individuals possessed limited experience in any coaching. What came through quite strongly was the importance of coaches needing to acquire athlete respect. Therefore, the presumption was that this would be easier if the coach had been a former competitive player and a successful one as well. Added to this was the importance of a cultural sensitivity of the club. That is to say, having previously been a player at the club that they go on to coach was seen to mean that a club's former player was presumed to have heavily socialised to the club's values and would therein reproduce these in their future coaching practice. As such, notions of cultural reproduction was important and is why I drew upon the work of social theorist Pierre Bourdieu and his concepts of field, habitus, capital and practice. So in this chapter I give a bit of a whistle-stop tour of these concepts and relate them to the data which I retrieved from the interviews I conducted in order to try and offer a theoretical basis, at least, as why we see a prevalence of men being appointed into these high performance coachings and not women, for example. So Bourdieu's theoretical framework and concepts can shed light on why we see a minority of coaches who have mixed heritage as well, and ultimately this leads towards the conclusions presented in the chapter, where students and others without an elite level play in the background who aspire to coach at a high performance level, it isn't just about the technical and tactical elements which needed to become knowledgeable of, but more so the cultural aspects of a particular club's values, beliefs, philosophies, or indeed ideologies. Therefore, it's not just what you know, but also who you know that enables doors to be open and in order to access privileged coaching roles, but also experience within a club environment, not just as a coach but an athlete, is important. This is in order for you to illustrate and exemplify your ability to embody and socially reproduce clubs' ideologies associated to coaching and playing philosophies. And admittedly, this is easier said than done.